Hi, I'm Phil Rude. I'm an illustrator, comic artist, and sometimes writer. Today, I'm going to be inking this Grinch as we are in that time of year that makes us all empathize with this character a little bit. Okay, maybe not all the time, maybe not all of us all the time. But you got to admit, the stress of Christmas can be enough to just make us want to throw in the towel on the entire holiday sometimes. Um, it's a lot this year. Late Thanksgiving didn't help. We all got a late start. It's fine. Just like my last video, I am once again using Dr. P.H. Martin Black Star Matte India ink and a Princeton Velvet Touch Round Number 1 watercolor brush, along with a Hunt's 102 Crow Quill nib, and the paper is Canson Smooth Bristol. In my last video, I mentioned that I was going to be selling my books and art at our local awesome bookstore, Lost World Books, in downtown Fort Myers, Florida, at their market event on December 7th. And I'm happy to say it was a successful day by every measure. I sold some books. I met some great people. I talked to a lot of customers about comics and what I do. And even if I didn't make the sale, I had some genuinely great interactions. I met the other vendors, and they were all wonderful. Elizabeth from Secondhand Gemini, she sells thrifted and vintage clothes. She had a great setup. She's great to talk to. I met Damon Hall, who is a local artist who sold some amazing looking prints, great digital artist. And he also had some really cool 3D printed tchotchkes. Maybe tchotchkes isn't a fair word, but that's what I'm using. He had keychains. He had 3D printed Cthulhu's. I got one of those that's now on my shelf. I got some journals. Really, really cool stuff. And finally, Julian from a company called Human Garment. He was set up next to me. He sells tie-dyed and screen-printed shirts, as well as stickers, pins, all kinds of other merch with his unique, very cool designs on them. They all just have a wonderful kind of underground guerrilla marketing style to them. Real indie, real cool. And a side note, Julian's daughter was also there with him. And at one point, near the end of the day, I asked her if she wanted me to draw a character, to do a sketch for her. And she requested Nezuko from Demon Slayer, which is an anime I had not heard of and know nothing about. I gave it a shot. I looked up some reference online, and she very kindly told me I did okay and accepted it with a smile. She seemed pretty happy to get it. It was I think, not bad for never having seen that character before. And she was very gracious about it. She and her dad were great neighbors to have at an event like that. When you are, you're spending time with everybody, and it's cool to see what everybody around you is doing. And finally, Mara Greets and Alistair are the owners of Lost World Books, and they could not have been kinder or more accommodating for their vendors. It was a pleasure to do an event at their store, and I look forward to hopefully doing another one down the road. And in the meantime, they asked me if they could carry my books at Lost World. So this past weekend, I dropped off some signed and sketched in copies of my children's book, The Monster Alphabet, my comic, Tales of the Warrior Igor, my book that's a collaboration with writer and all-around great guy Corey Scott called Nictitate, and the Shadow Anthology, which contains my short 6-page story, Shepherd, which is the basis of the bigger comic that I am working on with Derek Glasscock now. I know I keep saying more on that soon, but more on that soon. Anyway, if you're in the Fort Myers area, stop into Lost World Books, support the store by buying my books, or buying Damon's work that's also for sale there, or buy a cup of coffee, or a used paperback, or check out their awesome room full of kids' books, or their graphic novels, their sci-fi section. It's a great store, is all I'm saying, and I'm happy to be a small part of their inventory and community. These last couple of months, I've been putting myself out there to meet more members of the creative and book communities in my neck of the woods. And events like this, and events like Reflecticon that I did a couple months ago, have been a huge help in doing that. It's been really, really good I've been sort of creating in a bubble for the last few years. It's really, really good for me to get out and do events like this. I think they've been really helpful in getting my art seen by more people and by meeting artists who are in my geographic area more than I have in a long time. It's been great. So now on to this Grinch drawing. This was done as a call to action from Long Lost Friends Studio to their Patreon supporters, which I'm happy to be a part of. At Long Lost Friends Studios, they make amazing art. Some of it is drawings and paintings. Some of it is needle felting figures or sculptures. They also make dioramas. Most of their stuff is based on pop culture, and it's always very cool. Vince and Michelle are amazing people. They're wildly talented artists, and they're both hilarious. So, high marks for Long Lost Friends Studio. In preparation for doing a video detailing their new Winter Warlock diorama from the Rankin Bass Santa Claus is Coming to Town TV special, they asked their patrons, many of whom are also artists of various types, to do a piece featuring their favorite holiday-themed villain. The Grinch, being the classic that it is, was an easy pick for me. Some would say a lazy pick. I'm going to go with easy. It's an easy pick. By the way, I'm aware from talking to my daughter-in-law earlier tonight that when you say classic Grinch, it means different things to different people. When I say it, I'm talking about the old Chuck Jones, Boris Karloff cartoon. When she hears classic Grinch, I think she thinks more of the Jim Carrey movie. It's all in what you grew up with. What was the kind of contemporary or most contemporary thing at the time? I know that the Chuck Jones Grinch is older than me, but it was all we had when we were kids. And the book, of course, the Dr. Seuss original book. Kids right now, who are kids right now, will think of the Benedict Cumberbatch movie as classic Grinch when they're adults. So it's all relative. It's all in what you have when you're a kid. By the way, those future adults who will refer to the Cumberbatch movie aren't getting it wrong. It's not my Grinch, but it's not a bad movie. I actually just sort of happened to see it on TV last year, maybe the year before. I don't remember. But it was one of those where it's like, oh, this movie's actually not bad. It's kind of charming in its own way. Yeah, not bad. Anyway, a bunch of us in the Long Lost Friends Studio Patreon group did our pieces, and Vince and Michelle were good enough to feature our pieces on their video, which was very cool to see. Please do check out that video. I've got it linked here. And when you do that, check out their entire channel. There is years worth of great videos in there, and I have no doubt you'll enjoy it as much as I do. Also, if you're a member of their Patreon and you happen to be watching this, and you did a piece for that, or even if you didn't, there's a lot of artists in there. Scheduling is a big thing. Drop a link to what you do. Drop a link to your website, your Instagram, wherever you show you work. Just drop it in my comments. That's cool. Shout yourselves out. That is going to do it for me this year. Not just this time, this year. This is going to be my last video until after the new year. So let me just give a shout out to all of you who have watched any of my videos or checked in on my work in this past year. If you're new here, thank you and welcome. No matter what holiday you may be celebrating this time of year, there's a lot of them. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you stay safe and surround yourself with people who are the most important to you. That is going to do it for me. Please subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video. Go to philrootart.com and see what I've got going on over there. And until we meet again in 2025, take care of yourselves.